Keep your radio dial right here. You're locked into the hottest news station on the planet. Hot 702.5 in FM sound. Blazing today's hip-hop, R&B, and pop music. Keeping your radio on fire. Bringing you the hottest, realest, riskiest talk shows live 24/7. Live on hot7025fm.com.
It's Kristie J from the Chisholm Report. You're tuned in to Hot 702.5.
This is Hot 702.5.
Hi. Hey. What's up?
All your favorite artists.
Check it out. Say my name. DJ Khaled. This is Mila J. Bruno Mars.
On hot7025fm.com.
Tune in now on hot7025fm.com.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Cheryl Underwood, and you're tuned into the hottest news station on the planet, Hot 702.5.
This is Kristen Gamer, and you are tuned into my mom, Kristie J.
Yeah, election time's coming. Who you gonna vote for? Yeah, if I was president, I'd get elected on Friday, assassinated on Saturday, buried on Sunday, they go back to work on Monday. If I was president, yeah. Instead of spending billions on the war, I can use that money so I can feed the poor. Cause I know some so poor. When it rains, that's when they shower, scream and fight the power. That's when the vulture devours. If I was president, I get elected on Friday, assassinated on Saturday, buried on Sunday, they go back to work on Monday. If I was president, yeah. I know some soldiers that sleep but they can't dream, wake up with screams, sounds of M16. So take this medal of honor for your bravery. I wish you the best, kid, you and your family. If I was president, I get elected on Friday, assassinated on Saturday, buried on Sunday, they go back to work on Monday. If I was president, but the radio won't play this. They call it rebel music. How can you refuse it? Children of Moses, tell the children the truth. It's not all that bling that's diamond. Tell them the truth. Most of y'all wear Cuban zirconian. Tell them the truth, yeah. Your soul is worth more than diamonds.
If I was president, all blacks, I have reparation, no segregation, feed the nation so there's no famine. Muslims, Jews, Christians, with all whole hands every week on the beach. Party by the sand, word up, take trips on Air Force One. Don't need to bring the homeless with no sneaks to Air Force One. Better schools in the hood, better teachers for the classes, making money, paying no tax. Find the best scientists, tell them come up with an answer. I want the cure for AIDS and cancer, but I gotta watch my back. Snipers on the hill with the steel, waiting to J.F.
I was president, I get elected on Friday, assassinated on Saturday, buried on Sunday, they go back to work on Monday. If I was president, I feel the rain coming, let me play my guitar for them right now.
Let's go.
Refugees, yeah.
And thank you for coming in. This is Kristie J. And this is the Chisholm Report. I appreciate you guys coming in every Saturday to be able to spend time with me
We are here to be able to talk about what's happening around the world and locally with politics, government, and public policy. And I first want to say happy birthday to you. So tomorrow is Albert Jordan Jr.'s birthday. And I just want to give a shout out, heavenly shout out to my grandfather, who I miss so much. Okay. But I just want to say, in this day, I think of you. You are amazing. I appreciate you having the standard of a man that you were, because it makes me have a standard of a man that I'm going to be with, and no flakes. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to give some Black history on my grandfather. He was born and raised in Delhi, Louisiana. He was a basketball player, football player, baseball player, but mostly baseball. He met my grandmother by seeing her play basketball. He fell in love and decided he was going to basically chase her until she decided to be with him. And she did, until she purchased him for a quarter from her roommate, okay? Along with that, they decided to be together. They got married. They ended up having 2 children while they were still in college at Natchez Community College, and Louise was at Grambling State. They decided to move here in Las Vegas and actually moved basically all of their siblings here. Okay. While they were here, they became, my grandfather was very important with the Marty Berry League, the Victory Missionary Baptist Church, the Doolittle basketball leagues, and all around the neighborhood. He was also one of the first Black wardens at the juvenile facility, and he's just an all-around great man. It's time for us to be. I'm glad that my Black history does not just start in a book. That I watched it. I watched how amazing this man was. And to this day, if I run into someone who knows Albert Jordan Jr., okay, the first thing they're going to tell me is he's a good man. All right, and this was the example that I had, and I'm so glad to be able to have someone in my life who I can say showed me, because I know so many people had bad influences of like their father, their grandfather, they didn't know their father, things like that, and I never missed a beat. I never missed a beat with Albert Jordan. So thank you for everything you've ever done. Please kiss my mama and my grandma and my TT and everybody else up there, okay? I just appreciate you and hope you have a great birthday. Happy Culture Month, okay? I know that there's stipulations on people not wanting to say Black, and it's actually a good reason why, okay? First of all, we do not reflect off Black. We're not Black. We are most definitely melanated, carbonated people, okay? So we are copper, we are brown, we are most definitely these earth tones. We are the earth. But with that being said, it is not an argument every time somebody tells you something and they say Black. You do not have to go off this whole tangent of what it is, okay? But it is true. We cannot move forward with any additional reparations or them actually treating us like anything, because Black is not a race, okay? So we need to be able to get to the point of us saying if we are more, or we are American, okay? Most definitely. To say that if you are Israelite, or if you are whatever you decide you are, okay? I just want to say Happy Culture Month to you, okay? And along with that, we have a couple of things in the valley that I want to give you guys just send you that way. So just in case you were looking for some events and stuff to do for Black History Month, here you go. You got Black History Month Festival on February the 18th, starting at 10 a.m. for 4 p.m. at the Spring Reserve. You also have the Black History Festival, okay, on the 11th in the Art District I believe this is on the 11th, and it starts at 5 o'clock. And then you have the Roses, the Experience of Black History, Present and Future at the Analog Dope. That's February 11th at 12 to 5. So just in case you guys were looking for something to do, want to take your kids out to see something, your parents or something like that, this will be a great family event. Be able to go and kind of get some get some nurturing, some black excellence, which I also want to be able to speak on what Black excellence is later on in the show. So, locally here in Las Vegas, there's a couple of things going on, and I want to make sure that you are aware about it. Okay. One thing is Nevada Republicans are now introducing, which we've already talked about. This is voter suppression, having to be identified if you are voting. Okay, so the proposal for IDs and additional mail-in ballots, where you would have to go to the DMV to be able to register to vote. It would be free, but it also is a hassle when you can walk into a grocery store right now and walk out and someone is going to register you. So it being present in front of your face, and for people that don't go, what about the people that don't drive, that don't ever go to the DMV? I rarely go to the DMV. What about the people that just decided they're going to renew and get it in the mail? So you have to physically be able to go into this building to be able to register to vote, and it's just a inconvenience, especially when it is your right to be able to vote. Okay. I want to know how you guys feel about that. Call in today, 702-551-5261. Biden, call in. I've been trying to get you to call in. You ain't called me back. Let's see what's going on with this. Also, will there be delays with your tax return? Okay. That is a question that we are dealing with because we do have national debt. And we are at basically, you know how you use up your credit card? Like, no, I do. You know how you use up your credit card and you don't have any additional money on there, and then also you have now past the bill time. I've been in hard times before, and it's now overdue. Okay, so that's basically what it is for national debt. Okay, basically they've used up the entire credit card. We owe a whole bunch of people. Okay, and the time has now come that they want us to pay. So it's important that we decide that if you were waiting on this tax return, I have a clip later on for that. I just wanted to be able to give a just on that because that is something that we're talking about here in the land. And they do believe the PPP and extra child credits will take effect. They will take effect in the fact of your tax return being a little bit lower. Also here in Las Vegas, I don't know if you guys heard this, but they decided that they're going to put a substation on Fremont for the police. I just think it's so unnecessary. You already have a police department on 7th Street. You have it down Stewart. You have the Clark County that's downtown. You got City that's downtown. I mean, like, all of that is already there. What do you need more space for? You know what they do need down there? A homeless shelter. Why are we putting more police down there when the problem that you guys are going to police is the homeless? So why don't you fix the homeless instead of putting police there? It makes no sense to me. I would think that would make more sense. I think if you're gonna put more police down there to be able to maintain and keep the homeless people from being on Fremont, why don't you just build a homeless shelter and resources where they can be able to go and not be homeless? Seems simple to me. So basically that's the local news that I have for you guys today. If you guys have an event or anything that you want to be able to make sure people know about, give a phone call in 702-551-5261. Okay, so I do have a clip that I want to go into. Of course, everybody is looking at the balloon that has traveled all the way across the country, because at first they were saying it was at first over Alaska, then it was over Wyoming, then it was Montana, then all of a sudden he is in South Carolina, North Carolina, and all the rest of the stuff or whatever, and they did not decide to shoot this down. Does anybody notice that this information did not come straight from the government? They knew that this was in the air. This came from a civilian camera person first that reported it, and then reporting, and then they decided to speak on this. So let's go ahead and go into the clip and talk about it.
Breaking news, because Pentagon officials are telling CBS News tonight they are monitoring a suspected Chinese spy balloon that's been flying at high altitude over the U.S. And this comes just as Secretary of State Antony Blinken is set to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping next week. CBS's David Martin is following this developing story at the Pentagon. And good evening, David. So where was this found?
Well, on Wednesday, the spy balloon was over Montana, which is where some of the silos for intercontinental ballistic missiles are located. President Biden initially wanted to shoot it down, and jet fighters scrambled to be in position. But the Pentagon ultimately recommended against it because of the danger of falling debris might pose to people on the ground. So the balloon remains over the U.S., flying higher than a commercial airliner, but lower than a satellite, conducting surveillance of what an official called sensitive sites. This official added, this has happened before, but never for this long. Nora?
Well, a dramatic escalation, David Martin, with that new reporting. Thank you so much.
All right. So what's funny is right now they're saying that it is also one over Latin America. Okay. And they're waiting for this balloon that they said is as big as 3 buses. Okay. Which is not a weather balloon. A weather balloon is nowhere near that size. But they said they're waiting for it to get over water for them to shoot it down. Do you know what'll happen if we go to war? Do you know? Have you ever paid attention to what happens? Because I'm telling you, y'all not built for it. You're not built for it, okay? You see these other countries go through war, and these buildings falling. They don't have nowhere to go. They don't have nothing to eat. Y'all can't do 15 minutes without the internet. They cancel y'all flight, y'all go crazy. What are y'all going to do if the government ends up, if we end up going to war and then the government has to basically say, fend for yourself? What are you going to do? What are you going to do if we get to that point? Are you in a position, do you have enough food in your house? Do you have over 365 days worth of food? Do you have medication at the home? Do you have gas? Do you have water? Have you been growing anything? Have you been storing meat or whatever it is that you can use? Do you have supplies? Okay. Remember when we were talking about this with the pandemic, when the pandemic came in, we didn't know if, what's wrong? When the pandemic came in, we didn't know what was going to happen. We weren't prepared for anything. Okay? Like they were talking about, hey, do you have enough food? Do you have water? Do you have medication? For the first 3 days, everything was shut down. And what could you do? What happens if they decide that they're going to go to war? We do not have enough soldiers to be able to say, okay, we can do a world war, excuse me. Okay. So what happens in that case? You do a draft. Okay. And that means that every eligible, and at this point they can't discriminate, eligible man, that's the law, but it might be the eligible woman too, of the ages of 18 to 35, I believe, to report, okay, to fight for your country. What are you going to do if that happens? Last time that that we had an issue with the pandemic, they shut the schools down. What are you going to do if that's a possibility? Okay, like World War II, the women had to go to war. Had to go into the workplace. Now, the women are already in the workplace. So what's going to happen if we have additional things go on and we need resources? So it scares me because one of the issues that I believe, and especially here in Nevada, that they're pushing to get rid of is SNAP benefits. Okay, SNAP benefits are basically food stamps. Okay, it's a food stipend, nutrient stipend for families that are under a certain income line. With that being said, how? When you know that they just been giving this child credit for the food and stuff like that since like November, okay? And they're going to take that away in March. The food is already at an all-time high. Eggs, $8, things like that. What do you do if the stipend goes away and how are you going to feed your kids? So let's go ahead and listen to this clip.
It is a growing problem that is costing taxpayers billions of dollars.
New research shows just how widespread SNAP benefit fraud is and what needs to be done to fight it. NBC4 Investigates Jamie Ostroff is here now with those details. Jamie?
Well, Jennifer, about 1 in 8 Ohioans receives benefits through the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as SNAP. The government does not closely track exactly how recipients are spending that money, and that makes it pretty simple to steal. It's a costly crime that's tricky to trace.
By the end of the year, if we don't do anything, I predict it'll be a $20 billion problem.
Haywood Talcove is CEO of LexisNexis Risk Solutions. Researchers with the firm added up what they could to see just how big a problem SNAP benefit fraud really is.
Part of it is police reports, like following all the different complaints that are going into law enforcement agencies. Second part is the dark web.
Using that information, Talcove estimates that out of the $1.6 billion in benefits Ohioans receive each year, there will be about $320 million in fraud. That's 20 cents out of every dollar stolen from families who depend on those benefits.
And 20% is on the low end. I think it's going to be much higher, especially if we do nothing.
The research finds SNAP benefits are most commonly stolen through card skimmers and phishing. Both are preventable, Talcove says, and he's calling on the federal agency that administers SNAP to fight the fraud by modernizing.
The USDA is still using debit cards, right? They're not using credit cards. They're not requiring their 251,000 retailers to use the machine readers that are chip enabled. They're not using information and analytics to look at how the benefit dollars are flowing through the retail system. It just doesn't make any sense.
Congress did recently pass a law ensuring SNAP recipients who are victims of skimming can get those benefit cards replaced. The USDA says it is also exploring some new technology to prevent any card skimming. And a spokesperson for the agency told me state agencies are allowed to issue chip-enabled cards to SNAP recipients. However, no states have done this so far. For its part, the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services recommends changing your PIN number every month and, of course, making sure no one else knows that PIN.
Okay, so basically what they're saying is that all the poor people cheated the country out of these benefits, okay? Not that, first of all, let me say this. You didn't cheat the country out of the benefits. Every last American should have been getting SNAP benefits. Why? Because you pay taxes. You pay taxes. Your taxes pay for everything that goes in here. Nothing is government issued. Everything is out of your pocket. Okay. So I think that they most definitely need to reframe that, because everybody should have been getting food stamp benefits. I don't care if you was the richest man in the country or the poorest man in the country. If you pay taxes here, you should have been able to get it. Okay. And that's the difference with government. Okay. Is that they don't believe. Remember, okay, last week we talked about equality, liberty, okay? And we talked about it was the three guys, and they had the boxes, and they were trying to watch the baseball game over the gate. And there's a really tall guy, a middle guy, and a really short guy. But it's three boxes, right? If we gave everybody the box, the really tall guy is really going to be able to see with no problem. The middle guy is going to be able to see, but the small guy still can't see over the gate because he only has one box. We discussed that if it's not about everybody being equal, it's about everybody having access. Okay, so the access would have been that the real tall guy already could see over the gate, okay, without the box. So he doesn't need his box. And the middle guy only needed a little bit of help. So he only needed one box. But the little bitty guy, the little dude, they were able to give him 2 boxes, and he was able to watch the game also. So we don't start at the same level is what I'm expressing, okay? They talk about, well, you got to pull yourself up from your bootstraps and all the rest of that stuff. That's bullshit, okay? Because you stripped us of the bootstraps. First of all, you ain't give us shit. You took from us, and you developed lines of ways to patent things and everything else so we could never keep our own things. So we're not equal going into the door. And sometimes the little guy needs just a little bit more help to be able to make sure that he gets the same equality and liberty that this country said that we deserve. So, once again, they're saying that the poor people frauded this country of SNAP benefits. Now, I will say this. I was a little salty when I saw the people with the crab legs and lobster tails and everything else, and then they had like one crab boil and some steaks, and then the next following week their kids still didn't have no food for lunch. It was supposed to be lunch kid stipend, not your boyfriend's stipend, not you being able to fix a 7-course meal for your homies. That was not what this was for. And it's difficult when you see that, because then you want to say that you should be able to give me my money and I should be able to do what I want with it. But if you're still not taking care of responsibility, and they never should have, with this pandemic, they never should have gave out the money like they gave it. Like the PPP loan, they set you up for failure, okay? They made sure that you went and got that damn loan fraudulently, because they knew that the stipulations of being able to get that loan weren't realistic for small businesses. So people go do what they got to do, right? So they made that a difficult process. When, if they would have done what they needed to do in every registered business out there, and that's where they should have started. How you gonna make a business, a business out the air and be able to get all this stuff? If they would have started with the directory of businesses, national business, then they would have been able to see which businesses actually were working, paying taxes as a business, and then you could have been able to move from there. But you didn't, because this country backwards. So you want to make debt for everyone, okay? So that's what happened with the PPP loan. That's what happened with the SNAP benefits, unemployment benefits. I have another clip that I want to talk about. It's also talking about how much $45 billion in pandemic unemployment benefits were stolen. It's possible.
Pandemic fraud bust. And the startling new numbers this morning, Americans cheated the government out of roughly $45 billion in unemployment benefits during the pandemic. Senior investigative reporter Aaron Katersky joined us with that. Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning to you, Michael. Just stunning. When the pandemic hit, more than 20 million Americans lost their jobs, so Congress rushed money out the door to help. But criminals saw an opportunity, and now we know $45 billion have been lost to fraud. Unemployment benefits were paid to dead people, to federal prisoners, and to people who filed claims using dodgy email addresses. And there have been duplicate payments to the same person in multiple states. The Labor Department's Office of Inspector General said the $45 billion in unemployment insurance fraud is triple an earlier estimate. Now, more than 1,000 people have faced criminal charges for defrauding the system, but the Inspector General said this is still happening because despite repeated warnings, states still lack the tools to determine whether benefits are paid in the right amounts to the people who actually need it. George?
Okay, Aaron, thanks very much.
So, it does, that I wanted to play that because this goes into it. If the country is in debt and can't pay their bill, and you are the actual money, okay? You're the money, and they owe you money, right? You're supposed to get this tax return. Where you gonna get your money at? Huh? Where's your money coming from that you waiting on these taxes to hit? I can't wait for my taxes. You had got a child credit, 3-4 child credits in the last 2-3 years. Okay, you got that. You got the unemployment benefits that you got to file for. You got the even like the SNAP benefits, Medicaid. If you didn't have medical during this time, everything else, all that stuff is due, right? And you done paid out all your money all year. You go to the store, you buy a stereo, you pay the taxes on it. There you go. You go to McDonald's, has tax on it. You go you go on to Groupon or anything like that. Even if you pay Cash App, you pay taxes on that money. Everything that you spend out, we done this before. Reach in your pocket, reach in your purse. I bet you. And I do this all the time. I say, let me reach in my purse. Let me see. Receipt, right? Pull out a receipt. When you pull out a receipt, on every receipt is going to have subtotal and tax, right? So the tax on my Chicago dog and Fruit Loop cone and 3 dip cones was $1.20. Okay, how many people live in this country? Like 3.4 billion, right? And if every last one of those people are paying $1 in tax every day, and you're buying multiple things daily, you're buying multiple things. But if they were only paying just $1, look how much money the government is making off of you on every transaction, every day. You're like, it's just $1. Yeah, if I could get $1 from everybody in this building, I'll be all right. Okay, but the country is being able to get $1 or more off of each and every last one of you multiple times a day, and then they tell you they can't help you, but it's your money. So going into that, I have another clip. This clip talks about what you should be prepared for in taxes for your taxes for 2023. With that being said, you have to think about it's going to be lower, okay? The things that you can be able to claim on your taxes is going to be different, especially with this year. So let's go ahead and go into the clip.
Official tax season is here. You could start filing a few weeks ago, but today is when the IRS will actually start processing your return. Cleo Green with us with some things you should know before you file, and it's not all good news.
Yes, Kira, here we go again, right? Tax season really starts today, and things might look a little different this year for many taxpayers. First off, a big reason, tax experts say your refund may be smaller this year than your 2021 refund. Here's the reason why. We had things like stimulus checks, child tax credits, and extra tax break for charitable deductions, rather. We won't see that this year, and that's all because the pandemic, rather, if I could speak right this morning, is over, and you won't benefit from that this time around to file your taxes. Here's what you need to know. You do have until April 18th to really file tax returns. The IRS, they're granting an extra 3 days from the usual deadline. That should help you out. The agency, they also hired more than 5,000 new telephone assisters and then added more in-person staff to help taxpayers as well. Also, please take advantage of this. Last week, the IRS Free File, they just opened, allowing taxpayers who made $73,000 or less in 2022 to file the taxes electronically for free using brand name software provided by commercial tax filing companies. So that can save you a lot of money. Once again, no stimulus checks, no extra child tax credits, and then you really can't benefit from the extra tax break from those charitable deductions. By the way, you can find that free help right on the IRS's webpage. That should help you out. So happy filing. We'll be right back after this.
Okay, so just giving you guys a heads up on what to look for towards going into this tax season. I once again, I always push this. Okay, I always say it, like last show we talked about the bills. Okay, and the bills in your home being like the departments in the government. Okay. You have agriculture, you have defense, you have judicial, you have all these different departments. And then you have to figure out how you go pay your bills. Which ones are more important? Do I pay the light bill or do I pay the cable bill? Well, it doesn't make sense. Just for y'all, FYI. Don't pay the cable bill if you're not going to pay the light bill, because you ain't going to have no energy coming into your house if you don't have the light bill paid. Okay, so it just doesn't make any sense. But with government, that's exactly what it is. And then you have the influences. Like you have these multi-billionaire people and companies that give money to these candidates and stuff like that, right? So in your home, your influencers will probably be your kids and your wife, right? Kids are like, we want McDonald's. Where you go? You know, your wife will be like, I want a bag. You did something you ain't got no business. You had to pay for nails, toes, and lashes. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're telling you how to pay your money out. And at the end of the day, you have to still realize I still have bills and I have to figure out which ones are most important. With government, you can be those influencers because your vote matters locally, okay? Everybody was like, my vote doesn't matter. Your vote doesn't matter because you say it doesn't matter. And anything that you put into the world is most definitely true. So if you are not paying attention to what's happening around you, you're not educating yourself about the policies and issues that's going on in this country and around this world, then you put yourself at a disadvantage. And it's time out for that shit. Time out for us trying not to be involved, okay? Because everything, and let's just be real, everything that black people do, we take over. Everything, okay? It's just natural. We just good at everything we do. We are only 75 years out of Jim Crow, okay? And look where we're at. In the little bit of time that we've been in a position to be able to move forward, they still got their foot on our fucking neck. You know, so I just pay attention to why they don't want you focusing on real issues, okay? Because if they can keep you dumb, then you don't matter. You think you don't matter. So with the taxes, if you would have voted a certain way, okay, a couple of years ago, we probably would not have certain taxes that's in today. Here in Nevada, we don't have state tax. Okay. Some people think that's a good thing. It's a good thing for corporations and everything else. And it's bad for low income people. Okay. Because that state tax is what normally takes care of, let's say you get a ticket or something like that, get a parking ticket or a light bill is overdue or something like that. They can be able to use that state taxes to be able to pay that back without it coming out of your pocket or you being put in jail for it. Okay. It's good for large corporations because large corporations come here to Nevada and open their businesses because now they don't have to pay the state tax. So I just want to give you guys an update on that and what's going on economically around the country and what we're going through. Now, with the balloon being in the air, with them giving all this money and all these weapons to Ukraine, for China to say that if America becomes aggressive, they will meet us with the same aggression. Putin has said he is issuing a warning for World War III. Let's go ahead and go into the clip.
President Vladimir Putin has issued a stern warning to Germany over its proposed delivery of Leopard tanks to Ukraine. The Russian leader's warning to Berlin was made in a speech that he gave to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the Battle of Stalingrad. It was fought between the Nazi German troops and the Moscow-backed Red Army between August 1942 and February 1943. The Red Army's victory in the long-drawn battle has been credited with turning the tide in World War II in favor of the Allied powers, which at the time included the erstwhile USSR. Putin says that a modern war between Russia and Germany will be entirely different than the World War II battle.
Russia won't limit itself to armored vehicles while responding to threats from Ukraine. That was the ominous message from the Russian President Vladimir Putin as he responded to the West's decision to supply tanks to Ukraine.
Now, unfortunately, we see that the ideology of Nazism in its modern form and manifestation once again directly threatens the security of our country. Again and again, we have to repel the aggression of the collective West. Those who drag Germany into a new war and expect to win on the battlefield do not understand that a modern war with Russia will be different.
If Putin's warning wasn't enough, the Russian defense minister earlier today released a new video. It showed Russia's T-90M Proryv tanks holding drills emulating target hitting of enemy armored vehicles and aircraft. Besides Germany's Leopard tanks, the US has pledged delivery of 31 M1 Abrams tanks to Ukraine. The United Kingdom will send some of its Challenger tanks. The Western tanks are expected to arrive in Ukraine. Or, the US has already dispatched its state-of-the-art Bradley infantry vehicles to Kyiv, as Ukraine anticipates a spread from Russian forces. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky has said that Russia still has the resources to mount a large-scale offensive. The Ukrainian leader says that Kyiv would need fighter jets and long-range missiles to counter the upcoming onslaught. So far, the US has refused to cede to Ukraine's demand of supplying it with F-16 fighter jets. It remains to be seen if the Biden administration would revisit the decision amid continued pressure from Zelensky. There is another big question here. How far would Russia be willing to travel to counter the West's moves to arm Ukraine with modern tanks? Will Moscow once again resort to large-scale deployment of fighter jets in Ukraine? Make no mistake about it.
Okay, so I add these things in because all these things come into play. Like, I think issues that come into my household is there's a possibility that this war, if we go into this war will last at least 10 years. That means that my son will be 19 years old, okay, in 10 years. It's a possibility that they might try to draft my kid. And that scares me, okay? It scares me because with just a pandemic, they shut the country down. People lost their jobs. People lost their livelihood. Small business owners that had just opened their businesses had to just stop and cease and start all over. These are the things that happen in war, okay? We have to worry about the fact that the water supply is already ruined. It's brown water all over the country. It's freezing in the Midwest and East area, okay? It's freezing. That means that pipes can burst. That means infrastructure, okay? You have, you got earthquakes, tsunamis, all the cyclones, all this additional shit is happening right now in the country. And they can use the weather to weaponize that. They can use money, okay? Because and just not too long ago, they were grounding all the flights because cybersecurity had been breached, okay? And the thing is, the planes and stuff are now being basically flown from the ground, like a drone, okay? The pilots are there just in case something goes wrong, but they are being flown from the ground from a computer. If somebody could do something to the computer, all the planes go, they fall. Okay? Like, that is important. If all your money is in the bank, all your money is on Cash App, Zelle, Venmo, okay? And the banking structure goes down, you're now broke. And nobody is really taking cash anymore. It's rare, okay? And change is rare right now, okay? So you got all these different things that's happening. That happens in the time of war. They're already, we got whole chicken hen farms burning down. They saying the eggs is plastic. They saying that the salmon is modified. They say that they are that the milk that these cows are producing is human milk that they have modified from to be able to keep them basically pregnant and making babies. Not too long ago, we had all those cows that died. Now, all of a sudden, they got, like, yesterday, y'all, I'm most definitely done with pork. Okay, let me tell you this quick story. So I'm watching YouTube in the middle of the night. You know, sometimes I watch the little, you know, the ingrown nail or something like that or whatever, just fall asleep. Or some buck game where they eating food. I don't know. It suits me. I like to watch it. And a thing comes on where they are like sawing this pig's tooth out of it, right? And then they start like picking in the pig's eye and the ear, and it got like clogged pores in the skin. Oh my God. I eat fried skins. You know what I'm saying? Pig skin. Like, I eat crackling. Okay. I love bacon and the rest of the stuff. To see that, how disgusting it was, the skin of the pig, I'm over it. Okay. If you see me eating pork, please just remind me how nasty this was. I'm really sorry. It's just disgusting, and I cannot do it no longer. So y'all hold me to this. No more pork, okay? And I'm just saying that because they can use the food to weaponize. They use everything, okay? And then on top of that, we're already poisoned. We're poisoned with everything they're putting on us, and then including the medical, okay? This is hard to go through. So let me go ahead and jump into this real quick. I got two other things I want to talk about. One is the other day I was on Facebook and I was looking at this article, and the article talked about 4 missing rappers in Detroit. Well, they found their bodies in a abandoned apartment building basement. They don't know what happened so far, but this is tragic. They said that these men had met in prison, and they were basically rapping and stuff and trying to, you know, stay positive and stay out of jail. And for this to happen, I send my condolences to all the families. And for people to pay attention to people, like, stop having people in your life that you know don't mean you know well. It's too late in life for me to have farewell friends. I'm too old for that shit. You either like me or you don't, okay? So stop keeping people around you just because, okay? Because you never what their real intent is. And I can't see 4 dudes just, you know what I'm saying, being led off by one gun or whatever. You know what I mean? And I don't know. My soul tells me this is somebody that set them up, somebody they knew. And I just hate to hear it. So if you hear more about that story or you know any more about that story, go ahead and call in 702-551-5261. Also, the 6th officer was arrested, the white guy, for Tyree Nichols' death. He was there also, but for some reason, for over a week and a half, we have not heard anything about this man until they actually brought it to the social media brought it to the attention that there was a 6th officer. And why would you show all 5 of the black officers and not show the white officer that did this? Now, this is the people that did this are, let me say this. He threw away his future, okay, and 4 other men's future over some FedEx coochie. I ain't saying, I'm not downgrading people that work at FedEx or nothing. But what I'm saying is you could have found you something better. And you'd have ruined your life and 4 other people's lives. And everybody else's. Their families, okay? The family of this man, even her. You know what I'm saying? You'd have ruined these people's lives behind you upset that he was dealing with your girl. Get over it, okay? There's too many women out here. If one don't want you, walk away. Y'all stop killing women and killing women or dealing with women who will get you into trouble, okay? Either way, I'm not saying that she's at fault. I'm not saying that he's at fault. I'm saying this officer made a bad decision on the job, and now he has cost him and 4 other officers their jobs and their lives. Okay? Those officers have families at home, daughters, sons, wives, grandkids, or whatever, and they are going to be in prison for the rest of their life because they're going to bank you as a black man. Allegedly. Watching the video, they go bank you as a black man, okay? They wanted to make it, they had to be able to say that, look, we're going to make an example out of them, right? And then for months and months and months, white cops are able to leave their house and be out and about and everything else and not be charged for months or years behind some stuff. But they, in 20 days, they charged all 5 of those officers. They fired them. They charged them. They went to jail. They got a lawyer. And now they are facing murder charges, 2nd-degree murder charges. So I just want to give you guys the gist of what's happening around the country. If there's things that you guys are interested in that you want me to talk about, go ahead and send me an inbox. Send something to my inbox. I'm not telling you what my social medias are. Okay, hit me at Kristie J at hot7025fm.com in my inbox. In my email, and tell me how you feel. It's important that you guys know that this is a black woman-owned radio station locally and internationally. This is it's the best radio station on the planet, okay? So you guys always come in. If you see somebody out there grinding, let them know you see them shining. It's important that we tell each other, I love you. I love you, black man. I love you, black woman. I'm very proud of y'all. And I thank you for coming to sit with me here on the Chisholm Report.
Election time's coming. Who you gonna vote for? Yeah. If I was president, I'd get elected on Friday, assassinated on Saturday, buried on Sunday.